Hello everybody, my name is Sheila SL Reads, and today I'm going to be doing my April wrap-up. I have one book on this list that I actually read in March, and for some reason when I was looking at the Goodreads page for it, I had shelved it onto my favorites shelf in April, so I had assumed that it was an April read, but it turns out I actually finished it in March. So I'm just going to get that out of the way before I talk about the rest of the books that I've read this month, which is a lot compared to the past few months. I finally reached 20 books on Goodreads for my Goodreads reading challenge. I'm so happy. But the first book is Circe by Madeline Miller. This is the second of Madeline Miller's books after The Song of Achilles, which is also one of my favorites. This one follows Circe, who is a witch in Greek mythology. If you've read the Percy Jackson series, there is a scene, I believe, in the second one in the Sea of Monsters where she turns Percy into a guinea pig temporarily, because that's what she's known for. She's known for turning Odysseus' men into pigs during the Odyssey. And it's very interesting to see mythology told from not only a woman's perspective, but her perspective. This is kind of described as the Me Too movement meets antiquity, and I feel like that's definitely has something to do with this. I enjoyed this a lot. As I mentioned, I put it on my favorites shelf, and it's just such a good read. I got it from Book of the Month for April of 2018, so this has been on my shelves for a while. It was one of my most anticipated books last year, but I never got around to picking it up until I was going away to Italy. I started it before I left, and then somehow I found it on sale for some percentage off while I was in Italy, and I was like, why not pick it up, why not finish it? And it was fantastic. I can't wait to see what Madeline Miller comes out with next. One warning is that this does have mistreatment of women as well as rape scenes in it, so just be on the lookout for that. I don't know the exact page number, but I'm sure somebody has documented it, so if these things are triggering to you and you want to avoid that, then definitely look that up so that you can be safe while reading this. Now moving on to the books that I read in April. The first of these books was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I got this as an advanced reader copy. I won it in a giveaway on Goodreads, and this was absolutely fantastic. I did a video where I talked about books to read if you were going through royal wedding withdrawal, because I am a huge fan of the British royals, and more than that, I am a huge fan of modern royalty romance books, and this is definitely something that fits that. If I was to make that video now, then this would be one of my highest recommendations. So this is a bit of a twist on the modern royal romance by being an LGBT telling of it. Not only is our main character Alex bisexual, but he is in a romantic relationship with the Prince of England throughout the story. The next book that I finished in April was Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematory by Caitlin Doughty. I fell in love with Caitlin Doughty's YouTube channel, Ask a Mortician, earlier this year. I've been watching a lot of her videos and learning a lot. I feel like she has a very interesting take on history because she talks about death history and also talks about the present and future of death as well. This is also one of the first nonfiction books that I have picked up on my own and actually enjoyed, and it was just very interesting. As someone who likes her because I watched her YouTube videos, it was really nice seeing that she writes the way that she talks and seeing that this is just a very honest telling of her experience in the death industry. And as someone who has been afraid of death in cemeteries for her entire life, it was interesting to see that somebody who is so positive about death, and also a mortician obviously, and someone who is very involved in this industry, also had these fears at a young age, and that she was able to overcome them. And she talks a lot about how our culture and society makes us fear death and makes us want to stay away from it instead of being up close and keeping it within the family. And it's something really interesting to think about, and also how death is such an industry, and especially in a place like America where capitalism is so involved in everything that affects life and death. And it's just very interesting. I rated it 5 stars. Definitely recommend. The next book that I read was American Born Chinese by Jean Luen Yang. I got this at Half Price Books. I picked up a few graphic novels while I was at Half Price Books buying a million Shakespeare plays, as that is all I ever do when I'm at Half Price Books. This was one of them. I've heard about this for so long and I have never picked it up. First thing to note is that this is a full color graphic novel. Something that I really enjoyed is how there were 3 stories at the beginning and they all turned into one story by the end of it. I don't really want to give anything away, especially with this graphic novel. I feel like it's something you need to experience for yourself. There's a lot of discussion about stereotypes as well as what it means to be an Asian American child, and specifically a Chinese American child, and how to both live in today but also keep the traditions alive and not be afraid of being who you are and not trying to push that aside and be someone that you're not. The next book that I finished, which I believe I had begun reading in March, is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I read this on Kindle, so I don't have a physical copy. Also, it's huge and I'd probably break my arms trying to hold it up. This is an epic standalone adult fantasy and I loved it. I've never read anything by Samantha Shannon before, but she has been on my TBR for a while because she has a series called The Bone Season. But I had seen so many people hyping up The Priory of the Orange Tree and it looked so interesting that I decided to pick it up, especially because I had seen some people saying that there were sapphic characters in it. And I have a whole review for this down below where you can read more of my thoughts, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It is one of the best fantasies that I've ever read. I feel like it's a really good way to go from young adult fantasy and move into adult fantasy. It is definitely an adult fantasy. A lot of people have been considering it a young adult fantasy. That is mostly just because the author is a woman and that's just what happens in this industry. But I feel like it definitely has elements that people enjoy about young adult fantasy, but it takes it to a whole other level. It is so amazing. There are dragons in it, which is something you don't often see in fantasy. I feel like people try and stay away from that and stay more with humans, but dragons are so important in this and it's so cool. So I definitely recommend it. Again, my review is down below if you want to see more of my thoughts. The next thing I picked up in April was Kiss Number 8 by Colleen Afvenable and Ellen T. Crenshaw. This is another graphic novel. This one is in black and white, and I really enjoyed this. It is a story of a girl figuring out her sexuality. It's a very hard story to read. It's not a rom-com if that's what you're expecting. It is just difficult, but I definitely think it is an important story. This main character is coming to terms with the fact that she likes girls. It takes a long time for her to get to that. You see a lot of her just saying, oh, I just didn't like kissing boys, I just didn't like these kissing things, and just figuring out her sexuality and figuring out her place in the world, I guess. Like I said, it is very dramatic. It is a sad story. There's also a trans character in it, and again there are these aspects of transphobia and homophobia, and it is just not a light story. It is very heavy. I definitely think it is worth the read. I think that tells an important story about how people react to things that they don't understand. The next graphic novel that I read was Basquiat, a graphic novel by Paolo Parisi. I got a NetGalley arc of this, so it has not come out yet, but it is fantastic. I learned about Basquiat for the first time in my AP Art History class in senior year of high school, and I thought he was so interesting. I had no idea why I did not know who he was. He's also a member of the 27 Club. It's like celebrities who died at the age of 27, which I think is this whole huge conspiracy thing. The colors in this were absolutely amazing, and I really liked that despite the fact that it was about an artist, they didn't try to copy the artist's art. They use colors that are important for the 80s, and they had like a few little moments where you could see his art, but it was mostly just about him as a person and separating the artist from the art, and also talking about like really big deep topics, how people were taking advantage of him and just stuff like that. But it was fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. The next book that I read was How Not to Ask a Boy to Prom by S.J. Gosley. I got this on the day it released, which was sometime last week. I read S.J. Gosley's debut, which was Whatever, or How Senior Year Got Totally Fucked. How Junior Year Got Totally Fucked? It's one of those. I absolutely loved it. She wrote a very chaotic bisexual character that I thought was fantastic, and so I was really excited to pick this up, and it is so cute. Like, if you liked 12 Boys I Loved Before, like the movie or the book, doesn't matter which, you will love this. It takes a lot of the things that I enjoyed from her first novel, but also combines it with the fake dating trope, and it's just fantastic. I know so many people who are obsessed with the fake dating trope, and this is just amazing. Again, I have a deeper review down below. The next book that I read in April was Twinkle with Love by Zendaya Menon. I really enjoyed Zendaya Menon's first novel, When Dimple Met Rishi, and so I had high hopes for this, but this one I feel like just didn't work out for me. I'm not sure why. I really liked the aspects of film that were involved because the main character Twinkle is an aspiring filmmaker and she makes her own film during this novel. I feel like there were lots of cringy moments with the main character in this book, and there were also some like weird like romancy like love triangle things that I didn't really enjoy, and misunderstanding is my least favorite trope, and I understand when you do it in like a good way. Misunderstanding is always necessary for the fake dating trope like in the previous book that I mentioned, but that's like, it's a necessity. I don't like love triangles like on principle, and I feel like they're very outdated. I just don't really enjoy them. And I don't know, I just did not enjoy this book. I gave it 3 stars, like it wasn't bad, but there were just some moments where I was like, we're kind of repeating the same plot line where she's like, oh, I don't want to be a loser, I don't want to be overlooked, so I'm just going to be an asshole to these people, which is good, like you should stand up for yourself. But at the same time I was like, Twinkle, please chill. And everyone was like, Twinkle, please chill. And she was like, I don't understand. And there's one moment where someone said the exact same thing they'd been saying to her, where like, you're being kind of nuts, Twinkle. And she was like, how did I not notice this before? And I was like, girl, I don't know, everyone's been talking about it, like where have you been? And then the final book that I read in the month of April is The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. This is so cute, and again, it's in color. My boyfriend actually bought this for me when he was in town the other day. This was super cute and deals a lot with gender identity. It is the story about a prince who dresses up as a woman. He is kind of genderqueer, I believe is the term. I don't really like mention exactly what Sebastian identifies as. The prince seeks out help from this dressmaker who makes all these fantastic costumes for Lady Crystalia, who the prince dresses up as when he goes out of the castle. I'm using he, him pronouns just because that is what is used in this novel. Really interesting because you have royalty, but in a time when industrialization is coming in, and there's definitely like that where they're realizing that they're not as necessary as they used to be. Like, there are way more important things that are coming. There were a few things that I didn't like about it, but the fashion was amazing, the drawing, the art style was great. It turns out there's actually another graphic novel by this author that I have seen and I really wanted to pick it up. It was called In Real Life. There's also like a slight romance in it, and you know, sometimes that's just nice to have some romance. So that is the end of my April wrap up. I'm so shocked at how much I read this month in comparison to how much I've been reading for the rest of the year. It's been so nice being home, and I'm going back to Italy tomorrow. I hope that I will actually read some more books while I'm in Italy. I have filmed a few videos since I've been here, so hopefully I will be able to edit those and get them out. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below what you read in April, and I will see you next time. Bye!